you can already see what I'm most excited about. Guten Yardening, everybody! 3 weeks ago to the day, we started our very first Kratky Hydroponics setup experiment. And we started it with this Quickstar Kohlrabi. Now, Quickstar Kohlrabi is supposed to be one of the fastest growing kohlrabi out there, taking just over a month to grow. However, we didn't start this from seed in this hydroponic setup. Rather, we started it as a transplant, which means there was a period of adjustment as it got used to its new surroundings. But that being said, there has definitely been some development, and I'm going to bring you in this video up close to the plant so you can see what's going on up top, and then together we're going to discover what's been happening underneath, because I have literally just set it for the last 3 weeks and have not done anything to it to maintain it in any way, which is supposed to be one of the benefits of a Kratky method for something that's this short term. So we're going to take the foil off and see what's underneath here together. But before I do any of that, I want to remind you that the Kratky method is essentially a non-recirculating hydroponics system, which means that we don't have to have any electricity pushing air, water, or anything like that through this system, especially again for something that grows as quickly as this kohlrabi. Now, typically this method can be used for things like lettuce, spinach, those really short-term vegetables, but it also is and can be effective for things like tomatoes as well, depending on how you want to care for it in the long run. If you want to see the exact specifications of this setup and how we did it, I encourage you to look at our earlier video where we show you the setup for this Kratky method for the first time. I'll make sure to put a link in the description of this video. So, without further ado, let's get up close and take a look at this plant and see exactly what's developed over those 3 weeks. We'll try to do a bit of a comparison there, and then together, let's find out what's happening underneath this foil. All right, looking back to when we first transplanted this, I would say that our plant size in general, our leaf size and the overall number of leaves, etc., has at least doubled. And one of the things that I worried about is transplant shock, but I got to tell you, from day one, there was no wilting. There was absolutely no real downgrade in terms of appearance of this plant. In fact, it seemed to enjoy its new growing medium, and this growing medium is simply Coco Cure. That's the only thing that we put in here as a growing medium. Now, when we first placed this in here, there was a lot of moisture that came up because this was sitting about a ½ inch below the water level here, the water that contained that grow fertilizer. This was supposed to help with root development. This is a 795 fertilizer from Dynagrow. And so this absorbed all of that moisture, and it was nice and damp around those roots. Now, as the water level must have gone down inside here, this layer has become dried out. But does that matter? Because the roots should have developed underneath. Now, that being said, as we take a look in here, you can already see what I'm most excited about, which, as you know, kohlrabi takes a bit of time, and then it should start to create that kohlrabi ball that you're used to seeing. This is the part, in addition to the leaves, this is the part that we'll harvest. And I would say right now, we've probably got maybe about a ½ inch ball. Now, this particular type of kohlrabi, this Quickstar Kohlrabi, is supposed to develop a ball that's somewhere between 2 to 4 inches in diameter. In fact, they say that this is one of those varieties that doesn't really get that woody taste to it. I don't know if you've ever experienced that with kohlrabi, but this one is supposed to do well and maintain well. Now, while I'm super excited by this development up top, I really want to see the machinations, the inner workings of this system. So I want to see what's happening down here. And I want to do that with you because, again, I have not opened this one time in the last 3 weeks. So let's do this together. All right, let's see if we can reveal what's happening directly underneath here. Oh, take a look at that. Oh, this is super cool. Let's get up close. Now, of course, the roots when we first started were not stretching below this pot at all. And if you look now, we have, I mean, the longest one is almost all the way to the bottom. And we have exactly what we should expect to see underneath here. And I'm going to explain this one more time for you. So in the Kratky method, there should be the layer of water which will decrease over time as the plant feeds and as the plant drinks up that water. And those roots will continue to grow down to the bottom, and this is where it's getting its nutrients. Now up here we have a layer where you can see the roots are exposed. Now again, that is not a bad thing. That's actually exactly what we want, because the air in here has a really high moisture content level, and so these roots are able to respire. This is where respiration is happening. They're literally breathing in or taking in oxygen in this level, and you'll notice that the roots aren't burning off. If this was a dry area of oxygen, we would have a huge problem. They wouldn't survive, but instead they're thriving here. They're bringing in that oxygen, that air that the plant needs to survive, right up to our top plant. So that's why it's thriving so well. It's not just surviving. This plant is growing in an excellent manner. And I will say, I think it's really cool to be able to see all of these roots out here doing so well. You'll notice that a little bit of the growing medium from up above has fallen down and settled here at the bottom, but there's no issue there. And just in general, the water's still nice and clear. You know, one thing I can't get over is just how awesome it is to see these roots up close. You know, it's not something you get to see every day when you're not working in a hydroponic setup. And so we have all of these amazing roots that have plenty of nutrients. Again, I'm going to show you that liquid fertilizer we're using. It's just a 795 root based. It's really there to help the roots that grow liquid plant fertilizer. And boy, do these roots seem happy. Look at the color. They've got that nice bright white color. And again, the level here of the water is going to continue to decrease, but our roots have plenty of depth, so they're going to keep feeding on this. And up above here, they're going to still keep getting that nice, moist oxygen environment. And so they're going to be just fine. Now, again, if this was a type of plant that took longer, let's say a 70, 80-day variety, I'm pretty sure that this would get to a point where we would probably need to do a refill, maybe add a few more nutrients back in. But because this is one of those quick growing plants, I don't think we're going to have any kind of issue with that at all. Take a look at that setup. Again, the amount of care that we've had to take with this, the amount of coming down here, adding water, whatever, is exactly zero. How awesome is this? Now, not every experiment we do is a success. That is clear. So when we get one that works so perfectly, just the way it's supposed to, that is even more exciting. I'm confident over the next couple of days and weeks, this kohlrabi is going to really bulb up, and we'll give you an update as it does. And now as we wrap up our video, and before I rewrap this Kratky hydroponic setup so that the roots are not exposed to sunlight, we have one final question for you as a part of our community. Whether you are just getting started with gardening or you've been doing it your entire life, what is it that motivates, that inspires, that engages you in this process? And really, what is it that keeps you going? We've talked a lot on our channel about why we do what we do, why we continue to create content, why we share experiences and experiments like this one with all of you. But really, what is it that brings you to the table and keeps you going? We'd love to hear your answer. Again, leave us a comment, let us know. We really hope you enjoyed this video today. We are inspired by what we see here. We're encouraged to try this even more, and we will certainly keep you updated as we go forward. I imagine that the next couple of weeks are going to be some fantastic growth with this Quickstar Kohlrabi. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, When you're with us, you are good to grow.